had, personally with his visits with those presidents before the program and then during the whole program, how it ministered to the whole country.
You're my courage when I worry in the dead of night. You're my strength 'cause I'm not strong enough to win this fight. You are greater than the battle raging in my mind. I will trust you, Lord. I will fear no more.
Just about 4 years later, Maury would walk through another landmark event with Mr. Graham, his final crusade. It was held in New York City in 2005.
It was a little bit sad in a way that he felt like he just couldn't, have any other crusades, but it was real special. Those meetings were wonderful. And then almost every night, all the networks, every news service were all set up. So I suspect that there was hardly a news service that didn't cover every day that week of his last 4 sermons.
As Billy Graham got older, Maury worked a later shift, roughly 3 to 11 p.m., helping Mr. Graham at home.
They were wonderful times. And so depending upon the situation, anything disturbing in the country that we watched on the news, he prayed for people a lot. Just even during a newscast, we'd go to commercial and he'd ask me to mute the thing, and maybe Ruth was in there, whatever. But he had a genuine love for people, even though they were total strangers watching a story on television. He had great compassion for these people and just wanted their needs to be met like that.
Tuesday night, February 20th, 2018, was much like any other night for Maury as he helped take care of Mr. Graham, now 99 years old.
I was there till he went to bed, so the Tuesday that I grabbed both hands and patted him on his forehead and said, "Good night, Mr. Graham, and I'll see you tomorrow." I had no idea that like 10 hours later, I was going to get the call that he died.
Well done, my good and faithful one. Welcome to the place where you belong. Well done, my beloved child. You have run the race, and now you're home. Welcome to the place where you belong.
Working so closely with Billy Graham for more than 40 years deepened Maury's love for other people because of what he saw in Mr. Graham.
He was just always ready to speak to anyone. So I think all these experiences enabled Mr. Graham to be able to immediately respond and be a real comfort and joy and, a blessing to each person he met. He loved everybody.
Something that went hand in hand with Billy Graham's genuine concern for people was his famous humility.
I never saw him ever affected by the fact that he was like the number 3 most recognized man in the world between the Pope and the President and Mr. Graham.
Maury is grateful that God gave him the opportunity to serve Billy Graham as he worked to share the message of Jesus Christ with people all around the world.
Everybody has certain callings on their life, and I never ever really thought that I was anybody special or privileged to have done this. I just was blessed to be a part of it.
This is what we're here for, to show the world how you love it. This is what we're made for, to lay it all down like you did.
Maury Scobie has discovered the joy of serving God behind the scenes. Most people will never know all the ways he helped Billy Graham share the message of Jesus Christ. And maybe most people will never know all the ways you've served Jesus. But God knows, and that's all that matters. You can learn more about deepening your relationship with Jesus and about beginning a relationship with Him at this website, findpeacewithgod.net. That's findpeacewithgod.net. In just a minute, a word from Mari Scobie about Billy Graham's friendship with so many presidents.
You're listening to GPS, God, People, Stories, a podcast production of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association.
You know, people write me up, and my name is used a great deal, and it bothers me no end, because I know hundreds and thousands of faithful people whose name has never been in a newspaper, all across the world, whose names are headlines in heaven.
Billy Graham.
And I'm praying that I'll be back there somewhere. They say Billy Graham was also preaching. I'm serious. I must face the judgment seat of Christ. And I'm going to be judged on the basis of faithfulness in the place God put me, and the faithfulness in the opportunities He gave me. The man God uses will have a love for his brothers and sisters in the ministry. And then secondly, we're to serve one another. Jesus said, whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be the servant of all. Our Lord washing the disciples' feet. We should be servants of one another. Well, what kind of a man or woman should you be if you're going to be used of God? Be sure that you have a personal experience with Christ.
You know, the story of Billy Graham's life and ministry could legitimately be called extraordinary. And in fact, you can get a DVD of his life story that's titled Billy Graham, An Extraordinary Journey. It uses rare footage and compelling interviews to tell the story of how Billy Graham went from growing up on a North Carolina dairy farm to becoming a worldwide evangelist. The title again is Billy Graham, An Extraordinary Journey, and you can get your copy of it at this website, billygrahamfilm.com. That's billygrahamfilm.com. Part of Billy Graham's extraordinary journey is that he met with every president from Harry S. Truman to Barack Obama, and he was personal friends with several presidents in between. But he never sought out meetings with presidents. Mari Scobie shares how Mr. Graham ended up getting to know two presidents.
He was with Youth for Christ during World War II and was in London, and a chaplain came up to him and said, every fifth Sunday I have prayer and devotions with General Eisenhower, and today is my day. And Mr. Graham got to meet Eisenhower during the war, and that started their friendship. And then George H.W. Bush, the Grahams had a friend that managed the Holiday Inn Acapulco, and they both loved to swim in the ocean and both loved to lay in the sun. And so Mr. Graham was out swimming, and another gentleman came up and said, aren't you Reverend Billy Graham? And he said, yes. And he said, I'm George Bush.
We are so grateful to Mari Scobie for giving us this unique look at Billy Graham and his family. And we're grateful to you for listening. A quick reminder that in case you don't already know, one of the many ways you can listen to GPS is on your Amazon Echo. All you need to do is say, Alexa, play GPS, God, People, Stories. I'm Phil Fleischman, and this is GPS, God, People, Stories. It's an outreach of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association. Always good news.
Of this life